What was the experience like of you getting your CPA license? What does a vice president of an auditing department for a big company make? So how did you climb the ranks to become a senior tax director? What are some of your favorite tax strategies or tax write-offs for people to take advantage of? What big mistakes do you see small business owners making with their finances? Do you have any advice on how small business owners can get grants? Do you think the rich and wealthy should pay more in taxes? What's going on, guys? Sean here, and today I'm at a holiday party for accountants here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I have the privilege to be able to interview some accountants to ask them questions like how they got started in their career, their favorite tax write-offs, if they think the rich should pay more in taxes, and any tips they have for small business owners. Let's get into it. So what's your name and what do you do?
My name is Peter Hicks. I'm a CPA. I'm a senior tax analyst.
How much money does a senior tax analyst typically make?
It depends on the years of experience. Right now, I've been doing it for about 5 years public and about 3 years with the industry, so I'm in the low six figures.
What would you say is the best thing about being a tax accountant?
People always ask me tax questions. When you say you're an auditor, people will say, you can say, oh, I'm a corporate auditor, and people say, I don't want to get audited. All they hear is audits. When you say you're a tax accountant, I do corporate taxes. But people say, well, I heard that I can deduct this. Can you still do that? So it always leads to interesting conversations. People always want to ask me about tax strategies, new tax laws. It's pretty progressive in that, every few years you have major changes to the tax code, and so keeps you on your toes.
What would you say are some of your favorite tax write-offs or maybe your favorite tax strategies?
It depends on the industry, but I work in the manufacturing space, and bonus depreciation, 2022 is the final year for 100%, and then it's going to start to phase. Next year it'll be 80, 60, 20, so unless that's, or 40, 20.
What about going forward with bonus depreciation? Do you still think it's going to be worth it even at 80%?
Oh, definitely. I think anytime you have an opportunity where you're able to take a significant write-off early, even though for a book you're keeping a different amount, and if you sell it you might have a recoup. I think there's definitely benefits to it, especially for small business owners starting out. It gives them the extra deductions, and even if they take a loss, they can use that loss against future income.
Do you think the rich should pay more in taxes?
I don't necessarily think that they should pay more. I feel like everyone should pay their share, and I don't think that someone should be penalized for their success. And I think that the tax laws are built with loopholes, and if you're able to take advantage of the loopholes, then as long as you're avoiding the tax and not trying to, tax to do the tax scheme, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, as long as you're avoiding tax fraud or evasion or anything like that, then, take advantage of the tax code. The tax code can be your friend, especially as a small business owner.
And just look at the things that are available to us and not feel like that's something for somebody else. Do the research. If you can't do the research, sometimes it's beneficial to pay somebody that can do the research for you, because it may give you a tax benefit. It may give you an income stream that you may not have known about. And so you have to stop being afraid to pursue it.
So many people on our channel are like, what's the best strategy? What's the best entity and stuff like that? And I always tell them, like, hey, focus on growing your business first, making income, having profits, and then worry about taxes. But typically when you're a new business, you should be reinvesting your income anyway. And so that gives you some time to build a bigger asset and then later on pay yourself. What's your name and what do you do?
Tayisha, and I'm an accounting manager.
And how long have you been an accounting manager?
I've been an accounting manager almost 2 years, but I've been doing accounting for over almost 10 years.
What made you get started in accounting?
I was good at it in college, and it was right around the time we were having a recession and a lot of jobs weren't hiring, and I realized all the accounting firms were hiring. So I decided that would be my major, and it made sense for me to follow through. And, since I was good at it, why not have my career in accounting?
That's right, yeah. One thing about accounting and taxes is that it's always going to be needed, and so, yeah, it's a great career field to pursue. Are you licensed? Do you have a CPA or anything like that?
Yes, I'm a licensed CPA.
What was the experience like of you getting your CPA license?
It definitely was a lot of hard work. I did it while I was in grad school, so before I started working full-time. So the year in between graduating undergrad and starting full-time in public accounting, I studied and I passed all 4 parts of the CPA exam. And then yes, on the first try, I was happy about that. And then after a year of experience, I was able to apply for my license.
What's your favorite thing about accounting?
Okay, favorite thing about accounting, the order of it. Like, some areas of it are like black and white. So if I know there's a variance in an account, I know if I continue looking at it, I'll find it sooner or later. So just If there's a problem, I can solve it. I like problem solving.
And I like clear-cut outcomes. No matter what the situation is, you know what the answer is. Do you think the rich and wealthy should pay more in taxes?
Yeah, they should. Until I'm rich and wealthy.
Wait a minute.
Then my answer might change, but yes, I do.
Yeah, help us out a little bit, rich and wealthy. We'll take some income. As someone who's in financial accounting, what advice would you give for a small business owner about their finances?
Don't do it yourself. Hire a professional. I know there's a lot of information out there, YouTube, Instagram. They're not all giving accurate information or the full picture. So I think the best bet is to hire a professional if you want your finances to be accurate.
Good advice. Hey, while you're at it, click the first link down in the description below. Learn more about how we can help. All right, so what's your name and what do you do?
Bryan, I am a consultant for power companies, primarily in the compliance realm.
And do you have any certifications?
A number of certifications. So I'm a certified public accountant, a certified compliance and ethics professional, a chartered global management accountant, a certified diversity professional, and a certified fraud examiner.
I'm just imagining your home office has plats everywhere with you in the background.
There are a few on the wall.
What would you say is the value of having these certifications and what steps did you take to get each one?
Sure. So I think part of the value of having the certifications is that it helps individuals know that you have a level of expertise and a level of knowledge about what you do. And so each step of my career, I needed to be able to demonstrate that I had a level of knowledge above just what I'll term your average Joe. And so that's what created me going after the different certifications.
How much time and effort have you put into getting all of these different certifications for your career?
It takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment. For me, the hardest one was the CPA. You know, you've got business law, you've got accounting, you've got all these different components to exactly audit, tax, etc. that you need to know. But after that, the others kind of build on that.
Being able to demonstrate your knowledge is of course great, but a lot of people watching are going to want to know like how much money has getting these certifications actually benefited you?
Getting the certifications puts you that next level up above the person who may also be going for either that same position, that same job, the same client, etc. You know, I've been at a point where I've charged $3,000 for a day of service, and I've been at a point where I've charged $200-300 an hour for, you know, just doing something what some people may consider very difficult, but for me, it's just another day in the park.
All right, so what I'm hearing from you is that these certifications help you to level up in your career, get more promotions, hence make more money, guys, and as well as you yourself as an individual being so experienced and qualified, you can demand higher rates for what you do.
Absolutely.
Do you have any favorite tax strategies or write-offs that you like to tell small business owners about or maybe do personally?
Tax write-offs, I think the biggest component for your tax write-offs, particularly if you're a small business, is making sure that you are accounting for all of your expenses. So whether that's travel, whether it's mileage, ensuring that if it's a meal that you're having with a client, you know, all of those, making sure you're tracking all of those expenses. Because quite frankly, a lot of people, you know, they do the work, but they don't document it. And if you're a small business, a lot of trips can be business trips. As long as you make sure that you have some conversations about business and that you're, you know, working during that trip, part of that trip can be a write-off.
And that's why I'm always encouraging people to start a business, start a side hustle, because with that you can write off almost anything, but even more importantly, you're able to build your income and maybe live a better life. All right, so what's your name and what do you do?
I am Tiazel. I'm the Senior Tax Director.
Can you share with everybody what an average salary might be for that type of role?
Yeah, so you can expect to make over $250,000 of a year.
So how did you climb the ranks to become a Senior Tax Director?
Being very deliberate about what I wanted to do in my career and asking for those experiences and opportunities, and I got those opportunities by delivering every time. And I was thankful to be in a culture and a space where I was able to do that and have the opportunities.
Are you licensed as a CPA or EA or anything like that?
Yes, I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Georgia.
Fantastic. What are some of your favorite tax write-offs and strategies?
I would say real estate, depreciation related is definitely one of the top. So if you could invest in real estate as a passive investor, or even if you're non-passive but you have your real estate license, that's something you could easily do within a year. Not trying to minimize that, but definitely you could do that, and then you can take that as a passive loss, and that depreciation is always available to reduce your tax liability. So that's one of the things that I definitely encourage.
Have you heard that bonus depreciation at 100% is going to be ending at 2022, and then in 2023 is going to decline to 80%? If so, do you think 80% is still worth it?
So yes, I've heard that. So to answer that, and yes, I think there's a tax play there. There's a tax opportunity, planning opportunity, whereby your first cost may look a little different. Your valuation, especially if you're doing an intercompany sell, where you're selling amongst the intercompany, and then you can ensure that the valuation is at the place where you can depreciate, where that's favorable to you, considering the rule change. Absolutely. So it's a really good place to revalue your assets.
Yeah. So do you think the rich and wealthy should pay more in taxes? Of course, Biden has been proposing a wealthy tax. What do you think about that?
So from a personal standpoint, I feel like you're blessed to be a blessing, right? And so that means I contributed at a greater dollar amount than others, so that I can provide for health care or just necessities, as in, the police coming out, or the ambulance, or the firefighters. I think I'm all for that. And it doesn't hurt me at all to contribute to my community. The more safe we are, the better we all are. And so I absolutely believe we contribute to a greater good, and it should not be based on dollars. It should be based on percentage. And that benefits everyone in our community. And we're safer and we're better when everybody has an equitable share and opportunity. Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you have any tips for small business owners around their business finances?
Absolutely. I would say stay diligent, stay accurate, stay professional, and ensure that you're up on latest legislation and any litigations that are favorable to your position.
Now, really quick before I move on, I just want to share that if you do need help with tax planning or tax preparation, then my company may be able to help you out. Make sure you click the first link down in the description below to learn a little bit more about how we can help you. Also, I want you to keep in mind that I'm approaching complete strangers, okay? These people don't know who I am. They don't know what I do. All they know is a stranger is approaching them, asking them very specific business questions and putting them on the spot. And so I ask you to keep that in mind and have a little bit of grace and a little bit of patience with some of the responses, because I'm just super appreciative that people are willing to do the interview in the first place. I mean, you guys don't see it, but behind the scenes, I'm getting rejected a lot of people saying, no, I'm camera shy, or no, I don't want to put my business on YouTube. And so when I do get someone, I'm super thankful for it. So if you appreciate the energy and effort I put into trying to find people to interview, please do me a favor and like this video for the YouTube algorithm. And with that, let's go ahead and find our next person to interview. What's your name and what do you do?
So my name is Joshua Akins. I'm an auditor.
And how long have you been an auditor?
So I've been an auditor for going on 5 years now.
On average, how much does a corporate auditor make?
I work in public accounting. And so for a public accounting auditor, I would say without the CPA, 85 to 95. With the CPA, easily 105 to 115, depending on your experience.
Right.
From a senior level, manager level, easily six-figure. Senior manager level, easy, high six-figure. Partner level, it goes up from there.
And are you a CPA?
I'm not a CPA. I'm currently pursuing.
Gotcha.
I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, I know that's a journey, man. That's a struggle.
It's quite the journey and a sacrifice and everything associated.
You should be able to pass the auditing part pretty easily, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite thing about being an auditor?
So my favorite thing about being an auditor is I specifically work with nonprofits and healthcare entities. And so it's important to me with my gift to honor the communities. And so there are a lot of nonprofits out here that cater to minorities and cater to just the betterment of the community. I think from my experience, I look at, well, how do you get that $250,000 or $1 million grant? And that is a conversation around compliance.
Sounds like you're doing some meaningful work and making an impact. Are you seeing a lot of grant funding go out? Do you have any advice on how small business owners can get grants?
Small for-profit business owners don't really qualify for the types of grants that I audit. But from a strategy perspective, it is possible for a for-profit business to have a nonprofit arm that is technically a 501c3 that can then take grants and be funded by the for-profit entity as a tax write-off.
That's a really advanced and amazing tax strategy you just quickly glanced over. What's the craziest thing you've seen in the audit?
I would say if you look at it strategically, there's a commitment to donate strategically to decrease your tax liability.
Right.
And so from my end, from the nonprofit end, what I see is there's not a sensitivity to putting on a nonprofit hat.
Good advice, and I think a lot of people should know that like nonprofits are tax exempt. They don't pay any taxes, so
Absolutely.
the IRS is always looking to get their fair share, and so they put an extra eye or more scrutinizing eye on the nonprofit organizations to make sure everything is balanced correctly.
Yeah.
So, okay, have you heard the news about the IRS hiring 87,000 new agents, and if so, how do you think that's going to impact small business owners?
A lot of business owners got PPP loans and a lot of loans that maybe were not acquired in the most ethical manner. And so there were essentially billions of dollars that are misallocated. And so if I were a business owner now, there should be a very intentional conversation around the commitment to compliance.
I had a business that was actually trying to get the PPP loan, and at the time, the government was running out of funding. The first round went by really quick, and it was frustrating for myself and many other entrepreneurs who actually needed the money because they couldn't get it due to other people who didn't have real entities kind of hacking and scamming the system. So what you said is very, very important. That's a big reason why the IRS is
and so I
hiring.
think that's unfortunate.
So what's your name and what do you do?
Okay, my name is Tuan Leonard, and I'm an accountant, and I do contract work for local governments.
Very cool. How long have you been doing that?
Well, about 30 years.
What made you make the switch from public accounting to the private firm?
Public accounting, my background was local governments. And so when I left to take care of my son, I stayed home probably for about 2.5 years. And then I was offered an opportunity to go do contract work for one of the local governments that was one of my clients.
Gotcha. So wait,
that's
you're
kind of
self-employed?
opened the door. Yes, I'm self-employed, yes.
Okay, that changes the whole
Okay.
dynamic. Okay, very cool. So you do accounting for governments, is that right?
Yes, I do accounting for local government, so I do their daily accounting work, GL work. I prepare the work for the audits when the external auditors come in, and then I do the financial statements.
We get asked a lot of time on this channel, how do you get government contracts? Can you share any advice or tips on that?
And I guess my situation was a little unique. It was just a blessing that kind of just fell into my lap because it was a lady that I used to work for at the accounting firm, and her situation was similar. She had a daughter that was getting ready to go to school, and so she stayed at home with her, did the contract work for about 4.5 years until she got ready for school age. And I said, like, if you ever want to stop doing this job, please call me because this is perfect.
Well, there it is. Your network is sometimes your network, so that's what happened in your case.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you think the rich and the wealthy should pay more in taxes? Of course, Biden has this wealthy tax going on. What do you think?
I think everybody should pay their fair share. Yeah. So whatever that is, you don't like it, but everybody has to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, people complain all day. At the end of the day, we all have to pay our taxes. So.
And the rich and wealthy push back a lot because, of course, they're spending a lot of money in taxes, and of course they can afford to hire the best accountants who find all the legal loopholes, but at the same time, there's a lack of trust with the government, so they want to make sure they're investing in the right things, and they prefer to, just pay their fair share, being the same progressive tax system as everyone else.
Yeah.
What advice or money tips would you give for small business owners?
I would say hire an accountant at the beginning because people come to me after they've kind of messed stuff up and they're coming, can you help me? Can you help me? I'm working with a client right now. I can help you. Yes, I can help you. But if you start out, if you're a small business owner, you may not have the budget to hire somebody right off, but it's cheaper in the end if you just have an accountant hired at the beginning to kind of help you get it straight.
I think a lot of people, they just ducking their head in the sand. They're not trying to pay attention to their accounting and their finances until they get that IRS letter or until they get that tax bill and they're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot more than I expected. And so it's not only important to have an accountant, but have the right accountant, because there are some people that will do some shady things as well.
Right. And then one other thing too, just this is the last tip. So when they say you have an extension, a lot of people get that confused. So April 15th is the deadline. If you have an extension for 6 months, that's not giving an extension to pay. So let's say you owed $450 at April 15th, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna pay it, I'll put up and pay it. Okay, like when it's October, November, that turns into $1,000 easily, because there are accruing the interest and the penalties on that. So just pay the $400 in April and be done with it.
What's your name and what do you do?
My name is Benjamin Shaw. I'm currently Vice President of Audit.
Holy smokes, I did not expect you to say that at all. Okay, how long have you been an auditor?
Pretty much all of my career. I spent the first 5 years not being an auditor, but the rest of it has pretty much been consistently an auditor.
How did you advance all the way up to becoming a vice president of a big corporation?
I will tell you, hard work has always been something I live by. Being one of those people who gotta go and grind, and accounting is a place where you go to work. But I'll also tell you, learning how to network and meeting great people, being a part of NABA, which is something I've been a part of pretty much my entire adult life. It's kind of always been the way to get it, but I always have other networks, former co-workers, fraternity stuff. I always have people to network with, which makes the difference in that process.
Ballpark, what does a vice president of an auditing department for a big company make?
What I would tell you is, if you're trying to get to a plus 120, plus 150, plus 175 type salary, it takes time. It takes time, and you got to put in your time to get there.
What is your favorite part about being an auditor?
When I was young, I would say it was seeing the world. Like, I got an opportunity to go to so many places and spend time everywhere and gain a lot of experience and exposure. Now it's the managing of people, assisting young people with their careers, helping young people get opportunities within my company, also exposing them to ways to be successful outside of my company. Mentoring people is always something I try to do every time I get a chance.
Have you heard about the IRS hiring 87,000 new agents? How do you think that's going to impact small business and audits going forward?
I think people have to be more aware of what's going on. But I also tell you there are probably more LLCs now than ever. I would better say that there is going to be some crackdown, but again, they're going to start the people with the most money. Small businesses with little money, they're going to get to them eventually.
Can you clarify, what is a little bit amount of money? What is a big amount of money?
I would say anybody with net income of $250. I wouldn't even think they would even worry about anything less than that. I think it wouldn't be worth it for them. So I think that's kind of the focal point. But even then, I would say it's in this kind of inflationary time, it may even be $1 million before they, even look at anybody below $1 million. They're going to start off at those higher levels. They got it.
I was thinking the same thing, and then I read a headline of a lot of people on my channel have seen this too, that the IRS wants to start monitoring some third-party apps like Venmo and PayPal and Cash App. So what's your reaction to the IRS getting that involved? So the threshold had to be over $600 in transactions, I believe, and then the IRS wanted you to report that as income now.
Yeah, but I also think they're really focused on the business side of those. They're not really focused on the individuals unless the individuals are transferring a lot of money, and that may not always be about business. It may be about anti-money laundering and types of events like that.
Can you share with us the craziest thing you may have seen in an audit?
It was years ago, but I was auditing a bank and they weren't calculating interest correctly. And it turned into a huge ordeal. When I was able to calculate the effective interest right, and it didn't exactly hurt my career, I'll tell you that.
I know you're an auditor, but do you have any favorite tax strategies or tax write-offs that you think more people should take advantage of?
Yeah, I think people should always look for opportunities, or I don't want to use the term hobbies, but things they can do well or things they enjoy to create businesses. I think they should leverage the tax laws. I mean, the tax rules are built for real estate and investments, and so we should always try to consider those. We should make sure we leverage and opportunities where we can, our short-term capital losses, if we want to reduce our tax income, and if we're trying to pull in more money, continue to invest and do things like that, and use trust and LLCs to create wealth and set aside money in a different type of way.
Yeah, you threw a whole gamut out there, man. I love it.
A lot of stuff going on. Yeah. We have to be very smart this day and age.
So what's your name and what do you do?
My name is Tamika Jackson. I'm an accountant. I specialize in entertainment and construction and manufacturing accounting.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been in business since 2006.
It sounds like since you're in an entertainment space, you may be working with celebrities or really high net worth individuals. Is that the case?
I do.
If you're willing to share, how much do you charge your clients?
On the low end, I may have someone for bookkeeping for $750, anywhere to $25,000 a month.
What are some of your favorite tax strategies or tax write-offs for people to take advantage of?
My favorite tax strategies is holding income into the upcoming year. So tax shelter accounts is really, really big, especially with my high net worth clients.
Yeah, and I always like to tell my audience the golden rule of saving money on taxes: defer your income and accelerate your losses. So you're spot on with that. Do you think the rich and wealthy should pay more in taxes? And this is special for you since you probably have some wealthy clients. You know, Biden's trying to do like this whole wealth tax. What do you think about this?
I definitely think they should pay more taxes, but depending on what type of accounting they have, tax accounting they have, they may write their hair off, their earrings off. A lot of the clients that I deal with are in the entertainment industry, and I've seen them do the Donald Trump of taxes, writing haircuts off and earrings and clothes and wardrobe. So a lot of the stuff that they do, they're able to write it off. A lot of them use states like Delaware, Montana, where they where they can reduce their tax liability. And for a lot of my clients, they are foreign domestic businesses in Atlanta, so they avoiding taxes all day.
So what's your name and what do you do?
My name is Rick Sonordo. I'm a CPA, so I own my own firm. It's called Modern CPA Group.
Very cool. How long have you owned your own firm?
So I own my own firm now for about 3 years. And prior to that, I had worked in public accounting for over 10 years.
What made you leave public accounting to start your own firm?
Honestly, just more time freedom, right? So owning your own time is the best thing in the world.
That's good. I think sometimes that's the goal, sometimes that's the dream. And sometimes small business owners find themselves in a position where they've created a new job within their business. So how's that experience been for you? Have you actually been able to get more time back?
Yeah, definitely. And you're right about that. When you first start out, you know, you're doing it a lot, you're wearing a lot of hats. And so I have been able to do that by implementing, you know, processes, using tools and things like that, automating things, just so I can create that. But you're right, at the very beginning, you know, you kind of step away, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do my own thing, but then you end up working more than 40 hours, right? So, yeah, but I've definitely been able to get to that point.
Some people say I'm tired of the 9 to 5 and they go to the 8 to 10.
Yeah.
So what are your favorite tax strategies or tax write-offs for small businesses?
So my favorite, you know, right now is bonus depreciation, right? That's the big one, right? Especially these last couple of years. I know it's kind of teetering off after this year, but that's a big one. Home office deduction, of course. I think I like any tax deduction that you can either, one, that you're not really spending cash on, so that's what, you know, depreciation, or those personal expenses that you can really make business expenses, right? And so those are kind of like my biggest types of write-offs or tax write-offs.
Yeah, I always tell people, you know, when you have a business, as long as it's ordinary and necessary, you can almost write off anything. So going back to bonus depreciation, we know that 100% depreciation is ending after 2022. In 2023 is going to be 80%. Do you think it's still going to be worth it to small business owners to take advantage of 80% bonus depreciation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't get 100, but I mean, you can get 80. That's still going to be, you know, that's still going to be a lot. So I think there's definitely still, you know, a purpose or reason to still do it.
Yeah.
So you just get a little bit less, but that just means you got to strategize a little differently, but still get that 80%, yeah.
We're getting emails right now about people saying, hey, I want to take bonus depreciation. The year is about to end. I'm scared. Should I do this right now? We're saying, hey, hold on, slow down. Do you need it? There's still going to be a benefit next year, so hold your horses a little bit. Switching gears, do you think the rich and the wealthy should pay more in taxes?
I would say not necessarily, right? Because even for myself, right, although I'm not in that category yet, I'll say yet, you know, I do understand, like, you know, whether it's capital gains or whether, you know, appreciating property that, you know, it's money you didn't work for, after tax dollars that you then invested, and now you know, have some gains, and now you're getting taxed on it again. So I don't think it's necessarily easy to say, like, well, you have more money, you should get taxed on it when you invested wisely and you did certain decisions. So I would say no.
Okay, so what's your name and what do you do?
I'm Shanika Hurley, and I'm an accountant.
And what kind of accounting do you practice?
Tax accounting.
How long have you been doing tax accounting?
I've been doing tax accounting for 2 years now.
And why did you get into tax accounting, specifically being that there are so many areas of accounting?
Okay, funny story that I'm gonna try to make short real quick. So I had an ex. He needed to.
Great stories start with I had an ex.
Let's start with ex. Okay, so my ex needed to get into school, but his financial aid form was not completed due to his taxes. So I taught myself how to do taxes, and in the midst of it, I enjoyed it, and so I started that path. I was actually on a path of criminal law, being an attorney.
Wow. And I think that's a need for a lot of people when it comes to hiring an accountant, is that they're in some financial trouble or they're trying to get qualified for some money, some capital, whether it's a small business loan or grant. They need past tax returns in order to do that, so that makes sense. Okay, so do you have any favorite tax strategies or write-offs for small businesses that you enjoy or that you like to tell people about?
Sure, depreciation. That's my favorite thing. Depreciation most definitely reduce the income big time.
Yeah.
So you take bonus depreciation or Section 179, you'll see a significant decrease in your taxable income, your liability. Yes.
I love depreciation too. I invest in real estate a lot of times just for the depreciation and the cash flow, so that's awesome. So have you heard that bonus depreciation taking 100% ends this year?
Yes.
Now, do you believe that 80% is still something special that business owners should take advantage of?
Yes, of course. And another one, the QBI, the Qualified Business Income, that's another great deduction as well. It was funny, we were just actually talking about the bonus going away, but we're hoping that it's going to stick around.
Yeah.
It just may stick around.
We're hoping too, and some people might get reelected if they help with that decision,
Yes,
right?
yes, I totally agree.
Okay, so do you think the rich and wealthy should pay more in taxes? Biden's trying to do a wealth tax. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I really do think that they should pay more in taxes. The thing about taxes, you got a great accountant, CPA, they know the loopholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why it's been a benefit for them big time.
And the rich and the wealthy, they can afford to hire the best accountants, the most high-end, that'll look at every line of the tax code. And so even if they do have this wealth tax, they still may be able to figure out a way to get around it.
Yeah.
And in the defense of wealthy people, a lot of times they're saying, hey, we pay a lot in taxes and we want our money to go to investing into the economy, and there's a lack of trust with the government and what they spend money on. We see inflation out of control, and so stimulus checks, PPP loans, handing out free money, and some rich people don't like their money going to those things. So there's that. Do you have any money tips or advice for small businesses?
Yes, please, please, please. Keep track of your expenses and your revenue, especially your expenses, because you could be leaving money on the table. There's a lot of deductions out there, and a lot of small business owners, they don't keep up with their expenses. It's very important.
And it makes our life easier as a tax accountant. If you have your stuff in order, the tax process and tax season should be very easy for you. So there you have it, guys. We met some amazing accountants. They told us about their favorite tax write-offs. They told us about some of their favorite strategies. They reacted to some news with us and more. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I put a lot of energy and effort into finding these people to interview. So if you do, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Coming up next, I have 2 more videos where I'm interviewing and asking people different questions. So check that out if you haven't already. And I'll see you over there.